Good evening, and welcome to Creative Broadcasting, the station of unlimited possibilities, presents Creating Your Seat at the Table with your host, Ashley Little, as she welcomes her guest to the table.
Welcome to Creating Your Seat at the Table. I am your host, Ashley Little. A little bit about me: corporate professional by day, entrepreneur by night, CEO and founder of Ashley Little Enterprises, LLC, two-time best-selling author, owner and creator of Creative Broadcasting, and co-founder and owner of Talk Radio and TV Network, LLP. Today we have an amazing special guest by the name of Devon Horace. A little bit about him. Devon was born in Rochester, New York, one of 8 siblings in a single-parent household, in 2015. In May of 2017, he paid off $37,238.38 in student loan debt, and 1 month later saved $10,000. When he isn't traveling, opening stores, and conducting brand activations, he spends his time reading financial and business literature, browsing YouTube, and meeting with Black business owners and community leaders. Devon recently started his own consulting firm, Horace Consulting, LLC, to help other young professionals through their business and financial journey. Welcome to the table, Devon Horace. How are you today?
I am well. Thank you so much for having me. How are you?
I am doing awesome. You have such an amazing bio. You're doing some amazing things. So would you please tell listeners more about – you are welcome. So would you please tell listeners more about your entrepreneur journey?
Yeah, sure. So currently I have 3 businesses that I'm sort of a partner in. I do have my Horace Consulting business that is mine solely. That is sort of like a Fiverr in real life. We hire entrepreneurs and independent contractors to kind of work out the kinks to whatever a client needs. And then I have a candle, body butter, and soap company called Mr. Ok's Essentials. And I have a clothing line company in New York City. And then I currently have 3 properties, 2 rental properties, and then the property I have. And, just an angel investor. So I signed up, and it's an online angel investing platform called Angel Invest. Definitely check that out. You have to get accepted into the program, have to be an accredited investor. And I've been kind of dabbing into that, investing into startups and new tech companies. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now, always looking for the next investment, always looking to help other entrepreneurs because I know what it's like. So,
well, super congratulations on all your amazing accomplishments. So did you always know that you wanted to be an entrepreneur? I mean, did you ever work in corporate America, or you just really just started right out into, entrepreneurship?
So actually, you're kind of going back to my childhood. I used to like save all of my Halloween candy and wait until, all the kids eat them. And then I would sell mine for like a quarter a piece or 50 cents. And then in high school, I used to buy a bunch of things in my locker, whether it's like chips and gum and notebooks and pens. And I used to sell those out of my locker. So I always had that kind of hustler, entrepreneur, mentality being from New York. But even today, I actually have a 9-to-5 corporate job, and I'm able to use the pay and the funds I get from that corporate job to fund my other businesses. So that's one thing I always encourage to entrepreneurs and people who want to get into entrepreneurship. You don't have to be a full-time entrepreneur. I know, everybody say, hey, I just graduated, or I just, completed my first year as an entrepreneur 100%. That's an amazing accomplishment. But, it's okay to learn from somebody or learn from a corporation or, learn the operation so you can operate your business and see how you would do it differently. But then you can also take those funds and invest and fund your businesses as well.
Yes, and I agree. I always say, Devon, while you're at the boardroom table in corporate America, 'cause I'm still in corporate America too by day and entrepreneur by night, learn what they're doing to make their millions of dollars and then take what you're learning and build your business.
Exactly.
Yes. So in May 2017, you paid off $37,238.38 in student loan debt. Will you please share with our listeners the strategies you use to accomplish these amazing goals?
Yeah, sure. So actually, in May 2017, I'm gonna bump that number up a little bit. So I paid $37,238.38 worth of student loan debt on top of $10,000 in credit card debt because I moved from New York City to here to Portland, Oregon. So I racked up, another $10,000 worth of debt. So the total was $47,238.38 worth of debt. And I came up with a program, listening to different money financial people online and listened to a lot of podcasts. So I came up with a strategy that helped me personally with my finances. And I basically paid it all off in 10 months. And one of the things that I did was step number one. You could check out these steps here on my website at consultinghorace.com. But number one was I took inventory, right? I took inventory of all of my debt. I said, hey, what do I have to pay? Who do I have to pay? And I wrote it all out, right? When you see it physically in front of you, instead of switching to every account online and doing all this jumping around, it's easier to manage and it's easier to map out those numbers. And then number two, I really kind of appreciated the small victories. So instead of taking that high student loan payment and saying, oh, wow, I owe $37,238.38 in total, I broke down each and every loan. So depending on if you didn't consolidate or depending on where you get your loan from, there's loan categories like loan 1, loan 2, and I had the Nevian account. So it was loan 1, 2, 3, 4, and et cetera. And I would attack each loan one at a time to get rid of that debt. And then number three, definitely, making more money. A lot of people, hear these stories, which is amazing. It's definitely a huge accomplishment. But, they say, well, how can I do that? And you say, well, after you take inventory and you look at the small victories, are you making enough money? Sometimes the problem is just that you aren't making enough money, and that can really, hinder things for you. And then number four, just living below your means. This is huge. You hear a lot of financial advisors, a lot of people from the FIRE kind of movement, which is financial independence, financial independence, retire early. When you retire early, they basically tell you about, just living below your means. Find out a way where you can cut expenses so you can allocate that to either investing, you can allocate that to your debt, you can allocate that to other ways to make money. And then, last but not least, it's just knowing that it's going to be okay, right? Yes, you're going to go through these things. Yes, you're going to miss out on certain initiatives and certain parties and things like that. But, think about the bigger picture. Know that this is just temporary, and there's a light at the end of the tunnel. But you have to make certain sacrifices to become financially free or reach a financial stability.
I love that. So those are some awesome strategies. You taking inventory, appreciating what you said that really stood out was just appreciating the small victories. That's the most important thing. Because I think, like you said, if we see all of this, dead, it can be overwhelming, right? And,
exactly.
When you appreciate those small victories, and like you said, you attack it one at a time. So that's
right. I mean, because we're already psyched out, right? We're already psyched out. We're like, oh my gosh, I owe this much. I want a car. I want a house. So you're mentally defeated already, right? So this is like a pro tip, right? So how can you prep yourself? How can you mentally wrap your head around solving a problem? And sometimes it takes breaking that problem down into smaller components.
Absolutely. So I want to commend you for that amazing accomplishment. So this is definitely a big accomplishment. So congratulations, Devon, on this accomplishment. So this leads to my next question. What are some strategies you would give to listeners who are struggling with student loan debt? What's some advice you would give to them?
So if some advice I would give to some of our listeners is basically, the same rules apply, right? But the number one thing is to please understand your finances. A lot of people want to go to these really nice schools, and a lot of people want to go to like these well-known popular schools, and it's like, hey, go to your local community college first. Figure out what you want to do in school, because there's so many different topics. There's so many different, degrees and things like that. And actually see if you can afford it, right? Yes, there are loans, but, some people go to school for certain majors where you get out of school, and if it's not already taken over by AI, it's just a low payment, right? So you're leaving school with $60,000+, but you're only making $30,000 a year, and they expect you to pay it back. So my solid advice would be, make sure you shop around and make sure you understand the finances. Go see your financial aid advisor. Look at classes online through Coursera or any other like e-learning or LinkedIn Learning online. But there's so many different ways you can learn. Just keep your mind and your options open.
Absolutely. So for listeners that are listening, shop around. And please understand your finances, and most of all, make sure you can afford it. Love that. So there are more than 44 million borrowers, Devon, who collectively owe $1.5 trillion in student loan debt in the U.S. alone. Why do you think the ratio is so high?
Well, here's the thing, right? The American dream, what it used to be, right, is like, let's say the 70s, the 80s, whatever. They're like, go to school, get good grades, you'll land a solid job, and they just preaching this go to school situation. So there's millions of people going to school and taking on debt that they never pay back. Like, this is not only a millennial, Gen Z, baby boomer problem. This is even before that, right? Like, there are people who are 60, 70 years old. There's some people, unfortunately, die with student loan debt, So it's just a trickle effect like that. And a crazy statistic that I learned is that, yes, I'm super proud of our black women being the most highly educated people in the U.S. and had the most higher graduate degrees, but they also hold the most student loan debt in the U.S. So you have to take, the sour with the sweet, right? Like, it's like, okay, cool. What's the reality here? It's like, yes, our women have high degrees and higher education, but they're suffering because, they're starting families later in life. They're, getting into these corporate stressful jobs, competing with, all the financial burdens that they face and all of the, different sexes and other things that they face. But they also hold the highest amount of debt in the U.S. out of that, $1.5 trillion number. Like, these things is just so overwhelming,
Yeah. Wow. It is, and you're definitely right. It is, people that want to, a lot of people in America do take on debt, because everybody wants to, get to the next level, but sometimes we take on more than we can handle. So I agree with you on that. So which leads me to a question I wanted to have for you, which is, can you please share with the listeners the best money advice you ever received?
Oh, okay. So the best money advice I ever received was by Mark Cuban. I listened to a lot of his talks online, and what Mark Cuban said, never borrow. I think that was just straight to the point. Just get rid of your credit cards, never borrow. And I'm like, this is a billionaire. And by the way, self-made. If you don't know his story, definitely check it out. He's really a self-made billionaire. And he didn't borrow. So if he's saying that, maybe we want to look into that, right? So the best advice I ever got was never borrow.
Okay. So what is some advice you would give to listeners who are not at that level yet? They might have to borrow. So what are some strategies you would give them to, learn how to not borrow?
Yeah. So basically, I always like to tell my clients, say, hey, your assets have to be double your liabilities. What do I mean by that? So let's say like your total assets is, let's do simple numbers. Let's say your total assets is $100,000. Your liabilities have to be $50,000 and lower. when you do that, you actually have, you actually have your assets doubled. So if you owe the bank money, you can actually, pay it off. So when they come for their collection, you have something not only for you to take away, but also for the bank can take their piece and it doesn't affect you. So if you are going to borrow, make sure it's an asset, not a liability. And if you don't know, name a few things. Liabilities are a car, credit card debt, a store, credit card, in anything that's taking money out of your pocket. And invest in assets rather, like rental properties, rather your own property, because that also builds equity. Invest in companies, stocks. So just make sure that there's a balance if you are going to borrow, and make sure I would highly recommend that it's 50% of what you're going to borrow.
Awesome. Great advice. Great advice for all of our listeners that are listening. Now, let's switch over a little bit, Devon. When you're not traveling, you're opening stores and conducting brand activations. Please tell us more about some of the stores that you've already opened and some of the things that you're working on, because you're doing some amazing things.
Yeah, sure. So basically, as a consultant, I'm a business consultant and a personal finance consultant. So a lot of companies, I have a retail background in the certain. So basically, what I'm doing as a consultant, I actually worked that for a corporate job. So it was easy for me to say, hey, instead of working here and building this already billion-dollar company more money, I can, do this on the side and help other small businesses. So I help small businesses open stores, like learning how to run operations, contractor work, whether it's like, GCs and things like that. And then brand activations are, widely known as pop-ups. So I help companies organize their pop-ups, collaborate with certain other brands, also create a brand moment, which is something people start tweeting about, Instagramming about, and it's like a big deal. The last one I just did last year that was pretty huge was Complex Con. I worked with a luxury cannabis brand called Sherbinski, and that's their first time. Complex Con had a luxury cannabis brand there, and then on top of that, that was the first time that Sherbinski was there. So we did a huge initiative. Everybody loved it, tweeted about it. We had exclusive merch, and it's a blessing. And I'm truly thankful to sit back and like, hey, I worked on that. Like I was the man behind the scenes putting it all together, making sure it comes together for the consumer and the consumer experience.
Love that. So tell us more about the creating the brand moment. What's the process of doing that? Because, a lot of people they're listening are business owners, and they want to continue to build their brands. And could you tell us more about that, how you created the brand moment? What's the process of doing that?
Yeah, sure. So the process is basically knowing people, right? The main thing, if you know about business, if you're in a business of service, you have to know your consumer. You have to know your consumer base. So basically understanding the consumer is number one. Running some data, some analytics, making sure, the consumers know what may be coming, right? Keeping them on the edge of their seats. Number two, partnering up with the brand that you are going to partner with, because it's always good to partner with other brands just to build the hype even bigger, build the anticipation even bigger. So make sure that the synergies connect, right? You don't want to be a, cannabis brand trying to connect with a, let's see, like a footwear brand, right? It's like, wait, we're in two different fields. But what synergy can we connect through the consumer where we can say, hey, we love streetwear and we love footwear, and we're going to do a special colorway for this initiative, for this footwear initiative that highlights the cannabis industry, right? So you want to make sure that the two brands collide. And then lastly, it is very time-consuming. So you want to make sure that you are professional. You do know what you're doing, because this involves money. This involves time. This involves, dealing with other people. And that's always the hardest thing in consulting, right? Dealing with other people, because things can go sideways. Other people can, feel like they're above you, or they have more history in the field with you. So learning how to deal with people, learning how to connect with others to achieve the bigger goal. So that's the tips or the advice I would give if anybody wanted to do a brand initiative or event. Or you can go to consultinghorace.com and just hire us, and we'll take all that burden away from you.
Awesome. So please, if you want to create a brand moment, if you don't want to do it on your own, go to HoraceConsulting.com, and Devon team, him and his team and himself will help you all get to that next level. So definitely reach out to him and support and, purchase his services if you are in that field and you want to continue to build your brand and you don't feel like taking on all of that yourself. So, Devon, congratulations on Horace Consulting, LLC. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So tell us more about your company.
Yeah, sure. So, again, kind of highlighted a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Horace Consulting is I would love for it to build to a consulting firm where it's basically helping other consultants out there and putting them all under one umbrella. For example, let's use the brand activation, for example. So if I am the person who handles business operations and making sure the finances are all together, I will have someone on my team who's a designer, make sure the logos are good, make sure the colors are good. I will have a photographer making sure the video quality is good and production is good. And then I will have a, build out contractor making sure that the walls are right. So it's basically currently it's just, me, my PM, it's a smaller group, media, things like that. But what I eventually wanted to be is like a in-person Fiverr, right, where you could just hire, is a one-stop shop where you could just hire Horace Consulting, LLC, and we'll come in and handle everything for you, sort of like an agency. So that's the overall mission. We would just like to help small businesses and young professionals create something that, they're proud of, and we could work together and, make that dream come reality.
Awesome. I love that. Love that. So definitely check out Horace Consulting, LLC. If you need help with building your brand or you need help with your small business and growing it, definitely reach out to Devon so they can help you all get to the next level. So I always ask all of my guests this question, Devon. How did you create your seat at the table?
Oh, wow. Honestly, it takes a lot of sacrifices. It takes a lot, it takes you understanding, the field that you are getting into, understanding the table that you want to sit at, right? I always tell people when they think about investing in a company or they're thinking about, investing in property, I just simply ask them, what do you know about it? What do you know about it? If you don't know anything about it, that's not for you. Also, I really like Mark Cuban, but Mark Cuban said, when if you start a business, you want to be the best in that field, period. Like you want to strive to be the best. So I always tell people, in relation to having a seat at the table, it takes sacrifice. It takes a lot of studying. It takes knowing that you don't have the answer to everything, but you're willing to learn. And, that's how I was able to achieve the goals that I achieved today. I just, partner up with people who knew what they were talking about, did a lot of reading, did a lot of YouTube browsing. Instead of going on there looking at, the latest gossip, I was on there looking at, educational videos for free and different courses for free just to figure out how I could become just a foundational learner or a foundational expert in that field. So I can feel confident when I do invest, or I feel confident when I do start that business or work with other businesses. People can tell when you're bluffing. If you go into a business and you're like, yeah, I'm going to make this shine this way and we're going to increase revenue 150%, it's like, hold on a second. Like, you clearly didn't read the deck. You don't know what you're talking about. It's
right.
Like you're just living this fantasy land of I'm the best entrepreneur out there. So when you meet real, engaged, very highly talented entrepreneurs, all of them would tell you it is a struggle. It is a sacrifice, putting in a crazy amount of hours, but that's what's going to get you the seat at the table. That's what's going to get people to respect you. When you have that foundational expert knowledge. You don't have to know everything, and you can hire people for that, but you have to know the foundation.
I agree that foundational expert knowledge is very important, having that respect. You're right. And just being confident. And something else that you said that stood out was collaboration. People just don't understand how important collaboration is. So what is your view on collaboration for business?
Yes, linear. even sometimes reach out to those micro influencers on Instagram and Facebook and online, because here's the thing. I know this is pretty, I want to say, it's just reality. If you're trying to reach out to Gary Vee, Mark Cuban, Ray Dalio, Damon John, they're not, come on. Thousands and thousands of people reach out to them every single day, right? When you got somebody right next to you that's building something that is highly skilled in one area that, may need your help in another area. An example is with my business, Mr. Ok's Essential. My partner, she's an amazing designer. She's really good at the mixology of the candles and the body butters and the soaps, and she understands, aromatherapy, and it's just a whole vibe. I don't know that. I know the margins. I know the competition. Mm-hmm. I know, her work is amazing. So I'm like, hey, I have business knowledge that I can scale the business. You have the art and design direction, and you know what you want to do. Let's partner up and build an amazing company. And that's what we've been doing so far. That's just some solid advice. Look next to you. Sometimes it's not about reaching a Jay-Z level or reaching a Diddy level, right? P. Diddy works with DJ Khaled, right? Jay-Z works with DJ Khaled. Reach out to somebody who's on the same level as you, or just a little bit above, where it will be more of an experience and a learning experience, rather than you trying to, reach for these giants who, quite frankly, just don't have the time because they running their businesses and their conglomerates themselves. So, reach out to the person next to you, say, hey, you're working on this, I'm working on this. I feel like our synergy can connect together. Let's work together and make it happen,
Yes, I love that, because collaboration is the key to getting to the next level. Because I really do believe that our destiny is tied to our connections, and it is, because if it's just you by yourself, the dream is not big enough. So,
exactly.
So we all have a process, a part of our journey. So what did failure teach you, Devon?
Honestly, failure taught me everything I know today. Growing up in Rochester, being one of 8, single parent household, there was a lot of times where I had to learn things on my own, and honestly that built me a backbone and a tough skin in business and also in life to just face reality. Things happen, and it's about how you stand back up and how you get back up and attack that goal again. Failure actually is an amazing learning curve that people, I feel like a lot of people are afraid to take advantage of. If you, if you are skateboarding and you fall because you don't know how to keep your balance, if you don't get back up and keep going and try to keep your balance, you're not going to never learn how to skateboard, right? So it's right. Like the same thing with business. If you start a business and you're not getting as many customers as you want to, you're not getting as much feedback as you want to. If you just shut down your business, you would never know where your business was going to go because you just quit. You just gave up because you reached that one point of failure. And just like when you're paying off your debt, a lot of people say, man, I owe $60,000. I'm never going to pay this off. You're immediately psyching themselves out, and they're like, you know what, I failed. I'm just not even going to worry about it because I just can't do it, right? So they're defeating themselves before instead of saying, hey, this is the challenge I'm facing myself with. How can I overcome this? Yes, I'm not, I'm going to reach a certain time frame or schedule that I plan on paying off my debt, but I am going to pay it off, right? So facing those failures is the best learning curve one can have, I believe.
I love that. And I like what you said. It's an amazing learning curve. And we all have to remember that that's part of the process, and rejection is part of the process of getting to the next level. So if you are not ready to fail, then you're not ready to get to the next level, right? Because that's how you get there. It's the journey and the process. Yeah.
Exactly.
So what did success teach you?
Success taught me that I could do I could do anything. Honestly, when I paid off that large amount of debt, I kind of took a step back, and I was like, it really didn't hit me until 3 months later, to be honest. I was just sitting there man, now what? I'm fired up. I've got the energy. I'm yeah, when's the next payment? Like, let's do this, right? And it's like, I succeeded at it. Now I know that it's achievable. So now it's like, where can I also apply this attribute or this thing that I learned, right? Because the key to being successful is applying the knowledge that you learn to other aspects and other things of your life. So when you're reading a book, you're like, cool, I completed the whole book, right? That's a success. You've read the whole book. Now it's like, take it a step further. What things in the book that you learn that you can apply to your life? And then now that you apply some of the methods, you will continuously succeed because you're applying those methods. Or you may fail and then you try again and you succeed, but it'll get you fired up because you're like, you know what, I'm actually going out there, I'm taking risks, I'm failing, and learn, having my learning curve, but I'm succeeding at the end. That's making me want more. Success makes you want more because it's an endorphin, right? It makes you feel good. It makes you feel excited. It makes you feel like you can take on anything.
Yes, I love that, and I want to commend you again for accomplishing those amazing goals, but also for reaching back and pulling forward, and being able to help someone else get there. You're taking what you learn and what you accomplish, and you're helping other people alleviate that, to avoid, getting in debt, and also to get out of debt that may be already in debt.
Right, because it's about legacy. Like at the end of the day, you can have billions of dollars and no one knows your name, right? Like, what are you doing to give back to your community? Again, I grew up in the hood. I grew up in low income, and it's like I know thousands of people who look like me. I know people who are going through the same thing. Some people made it out. Other people died trying to make it out. So what are you doing to make a difference? And just to change the trajectory of our community. That's a huge part. When you show love to your community, the community show love back to you, your business, whatever you're doing, and you can help everybody grow. That's how we keep that generational wealth flowing. That's how we keep that generational knowledge flowing as well. I know we think about a lot of generational wealth, and that's like the huge topic, but we also have to think about the generational knowledge. There's a lot of there's a lot of families who have unfortunately left this earth without passing down the knowledge to their kids, and now their kids having to feel like they had to start all over. So what are you passing down to the next generation so they could be just a step further in the process of, making the community great?
Love that, because true success is reaching back and pulling forward. That's when you're really successful,
Exactly.
So definitely a big believer in that. So, Devon, you have a lot of great things going on. You attacked quarter one, and now we're in quarter two. And what do you have planned for the rest of 2019?
So if my wife allows me, I want to buy a duplex. That'll be my first duplex. I have a single family. I have a condo, and another rental property I want to do is a duplex to kind of get into more of the multiple units. I also am looking to save. I actually set myself up to save a year worth of all of my rental properties. So I want to make sure I have that cushion just in case anything were to happen. And also I want to be able to service at least 150 clients this year. No matter what their goal is, no matter how big or small, I want to project to serve 150 clients this year.
Amazing goals. So I'm excited to see what all God has in store for you for the rest of this year. And I am wishing you many blessings for all the great things that you have planned, that you just named. Congratulations on those goals in advance. So please tell our listeners how they can follow and contact you and book you to come and speak at their events, or to book you for your services and to be able to purchase your services.
Yeah, sure. So everyone, thank you so much. And Ashley, thank you so much for having me. I greatly appreciate it. You can follow me on d.horace, that's d.horace on Instagram. You can also go to my website, Consulting Horace, Consulting, how it's spelled out, HORACE.com. You can check out all of my media posting from Blavity and his or her podcast and things like that. You can check out my story. You can also book me on there too through services. Just easy, quick tab. It doesn't take a lot, and you can also book me for speaking engagements through my website as well. So again, Instagram is d.horace, Horace, and my website is Consulting Horace, consulting, how it's spelled, HORACE.com.
So please reach out to Devon. He has an amazing story. He's on an amazing journey, and he's doing some amazing things. So definitely reach out to him, support him, and follow him on his journey because he is, like I stated, pretty amazing. So, Devon, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on the show today.
Oh, no, thank you. Thank you.
You are welcome, and I'm wishing you many, many blessings on your journey, and I can't wait to invite you back to the table.
You as well. Thank you. Look forward to talking to you again.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. So I would like to give a special thanks to my mentors, Tammy Collins Marquis and John Schamberger. I also would like to give a special thanks to Dr. Larry White Sr. and author Kimberly McLemore. You all may follow me on Facebook at Ashley Little and on Instagram at _Ashley A. Little. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Creating Your Seat at the Table, where Ashley speaks with corporate professionals, celebrities, entrepreneurs, authors, and speakers who are transitioning or have transitioned to entrepreneurship.